we go to the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line right here as our first guest on the Friday program is the head coach of Ole Miss football, sending Matt Corral and more to Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's entirely possible we will know 2 weeks from today where this quarterback does wind up to play professional football. Head coach of Ole Miss football, Lane Kiffin, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Coach?
Great, thanks.
Appreciate you being on the program. Where have I found you? Where have I found you? You're on the road?
I'm in Oxford, Mississippi. Okay. We're in the middle of spring ball. I have a little scrimmage tomorrow and in some meetings right now.
Okay, very good. When was the first time you met Matt Corral? When was the first time that happened, Lane Kiffin?
One of my first days here. I had not recruited him in high school or just a different place. He'd been coming out. I've been at FAU on the other side of the country, so I wasn't familiar with him really at all. And so met him here and saw him throw the first day and turned to Jeff Levy and said, all right, that guy's really special.
What made you think that? Walk me through that day where you realized how special he was, Coach.
Just a release of the ball and accuracy. And, it was the first day, so that's hard to be accurate when you don't even know the new routes and the new receivers, all that. And, you could just tell he was really special. And I didn't know the makeup of him yet and his mentality and his leadership. I was just going off of that. And so once you saw those things, it was awesome.
Okay, and then getting to know him. Walk me through where you saw his leadership skills for the first time.
I don't know, on the getting to know him, if, some people here say California thing or, because from California, I spent most of my time out there. And so whether that's, we were in Mississippi and hit it off that way. I just think he's a really neat kid. Really enjoy being around him. And he's so competitive and just wants to be great.
I've got Lane Kiffin here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what do you tell anybody that calls you up about Matt Corral? What's your message to the NFL and the scouting community that might pick up the phone and say, tell me about Matt Corral?
He'll be a great player and great leadership, and the players will love how he plays and how physical that he plays, running the ball and stuff, even though you got to coach that out of him. The defensive players love that when they see that. And, a lot of his game here is RPO because it's just a unique system we run and stuff, but he can make all the throws and all the other different systems.
Well, I spoke to him the other day, and, he's the one who walked me through the decision to play in his bowl game and said it wasn't even a decision for him. What was it from your point of view, Coach Lane Kiffin?
He just never was going to do anything different. We played Liberty late in the year, and he was really banged up. And I'm sure he heard from a lot of people, don't play, it's not a conference game. You're hurt, you're 50%, your ankle and stuff. And he never even thought about it. You just want to play. It's what I'm not going to let my teammates down. So that just tells you who he is.
And have you met Brett Michaels? Because he was in studio here, the lead singer of Poison. That's all he talks about is Matt Corral. Did you ever cross paths with him?
He was here when I was coaching in a game, and I missed him. But he sent me a T-shirt. Okay. So you missed him, huh? Where were you? What happened? Well, I was coaching the game.
Oh, that's...
I was kind of busy.
Oh, that thing. Like actually calling plays is what you're saying, Lane Kiffin.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Very good. So who else do you want to bang the table for here about? Because obviously we're all focused on your quarterback and Matt Corral. But who else should we be banging the table for coming out of Ole Miss at this draft?
I think Sam Williams, a defensive end that ran so well at the Combine. This kid had one of the most productive seasons of anybody in the country, and really unique skills, and you can see the side speed ratios off the charts. Hardly anybody ever that size runs at that time. So I think put in the right program, he'll do special things.
Lane Kiffin here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so I had Coach Saban on, and I'll ask you the same thing I asked him about the comments from your colleague in Clemson, from Dabo Swinney, that he believes that what's going on with NIL, that college football is headed for a reckoning to get blown up is the word that he used. Would you agree with that assessment, Lane Kiffin?
I read that. I actually texted him, good job on it, because it is. I'm for that the kids make money. It's just there's no, I said it from day one, put no salary cap in the NFL. How does that work? And different teams have different money, and then there's no real contracts on a lot of it. They're not necessarily locked in, so technically everybody could be a free agent every year. And really, if you're think how messed up the system is. If you're a great player, you're Bryce Young after the national championship last year, you should go in the portal. Even if you want to stay at Alabama, because all you'll do is drive up your price there, because then the collectives there will suddenly come up with a lot of money from Alabama people to keep you. So what would any player do that could opt into a free agency every year? They would do it, test the market, and get the most they could.
So are you seeing that from Ole Miss's point of view, or are you seeing that players are doing that already right now, Lane?
Actually, probably a lot of them have figured it out.
Right.
I think you've seen a few of them. Most of the times people are going in because they're not happy where they're at, or want to play at a bigger level. We have started to see a few at places. I think, it's not, they weren't unhappy. They just figured this out. Like, hey, I can maybe come back where I'm at, but let me see what I can get paid. So, and you're going to have all these locker room dynamics where now you're reading, you got a player coming into school over there in East Tennessee that, for $8 million, hasn't played it down, and you got a locker room saying, wait, now what if the guy doesn't play? How's that going to work? And then how is the donor going to feel that paid all that money when the guy's not playing? And so you got a lot of things that haven't been figured out at all.
Well, then, in terms of, before I ask you for what you think could be done to fix it, let me bounce this one off you, because I had Mac Brown, your colleague at North Carolina, on the program just last week, and he said there are some kids who come in his office and say, I've been offered this much in NIL at another spot. You match it, I'll play for you. And he basically, that's where he throws his hands up and goes, essentially, get out of here. Has that happened with you, Lane Kiffin?
You say get out of here, I don't think you can assign many players. So let's be realistic. Now, we are in a different state law in a lot of states right now that's, I think, being changed very quickly, that we can't really discuss with them that. Only the collective group can. So so we don't do that. But, if coaches – I say it like this. If you don't want to – if you're not going to evolve with things – and okay, here's NIL, or here's the portal, and we're not going to do these things, you'll be just like those coaches that wanted to stay in I formation football. That, we're not going to evolve. We're going to keep running pro style under center football, and look what's happened to them. So this is just the next thing that you better evolve. One of the best evolves ever is Nick Saban. Changing offenses. When people thought he wouldn't, and he did, because he's smart enough to know you better always evolve.
Lane Kiffin here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what's the fix? What do you think? What would be a fix where kids still get the proper name, image, and likeness, market value that they deserve, and people aren't taking advantage of the system from the paying point of view? What do you think?
I don't really have all that answer. They're still not treated as employees. So, how can you start putting caps on what they make and stuff? So, you got issues that, they're going to need to be, if you're going to have to put a cap somewhere and monitor it and, be able to, figure the whole system out. Otherwise, they keep saying these guys aren't employees. Well, how are they not,
Yeah, I guess. That's the way it's kind of heading. I don't know what the fix is. It just seems like, to me, if somebody's going around saying, I'm offered this much money in NIL deals, if you match it, I'll come here, and if not, I'll go somewhere else. Where does that leave you as a head coach? You know what I'm saying?
It's just like I said, it's professional sports. It's no different than an agent with a free agent saying, okay, we'll come to, or we have this from the Raiders, but we'll come to you and the Falcons if you match it.
That's what it sounds. You're just changing the names, right? It's just like one big Mad Lib where you're just changing everything around. So will you be in Las Vegas? Do I see you for the draft? Coach Lane Kiffin, will you be there in Vegas?
I don't think so. Matt's having a party. He texted the other day about it. I think we got a lot of stuff going on here, but maybe.
Okay. And what is going on over there? What is your spring game or your spring practices and the future of Ole Miss that you want to tell your fan base, Lane Kiffin, before I let you go?
Well, a lot to replace. We had already had 12 major college transfers come in, in this transfer portal, and so we got to replace a lot of really good players that were good kids like Matt, and so that won't be easy. It looks good on paper, just like I say. These people say, "Oh, you guys are number one in the transfer portal." Well, who cares? That doesn't mean anything, and you don't get any trophies for that. And just because things look good on paper and good players doesn't mean they mesh together. Look at basketball, NBA basketball. These teams that are supposed to be great with these, a couple great players and rosters doesn't mean that's not how it works. So we got a lot of work to do putting them together and getting them to buy into culture and all that, because it's kind of like we've got all these new adopted kids coming in that were raised at all these different places. Because it's not like they're all high school kids. These kids are, 3-4 years at other colleges. So that's a new kind of world to try to work into.
Okay. And then last word, 2 weeks from last night, the NFL draft first round is going to go down. Let's say Matt Corral does wind going up in that round. And what would you tell the fan base about the quarterback that their team just drafted, Lane Kiffin?
Extreme competitor. He's going to be the first one in, last one to leave. You'll love his personality when you get to meet him, and should be really excited.
Coach Lane Kiffin, thanks for the time, man. We'll chat again very soon. Truly appreciate the call. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
You got it. That's Lane Kiffin, head coach of Ole Miss football, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.